You're listening to Alternative Future Radio, home of the weird, resting place of the paranormal. Will take you to the furthest reaches of the galaxy and beyond. Strange phenomena, aliens, psychics, cryptozoology, conspiracy, holistic health, and UFOs. Alternative Future Radio, where spooky just got weird.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the glory that is the Out There Hour. You may bask in it all you will. Today, we are going to be predicting something fantastic. Today's guest, it's Dr. Turi.
The Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com.
Yay! Good morning, Basil.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Africa.
The Middle East.
Europe.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Iceland.
Speaking of Iceland, we've got a guest coming on from Iceland.
Ooh, you don't tell me anything.
I tell you some stuff. I put it on the website. You find out about it when the public.
Yeah,
know.
I'll find out when I visit the website.
Yeah, when you're good and ready. Let me just see if I can find this. No, I'll let you have a go at his name, shall I?
Yeah, why not? Go on.
There's his name.
Make a fool of me.
Yeah.
Live on air. I can't read it.
Erlander Haraldsson.
Haraldsson, yeah.
Erlander Haraldsson?
Yeah.
He does stuff about afterlife and paranormal and what have you.
I do like that.
You do like a bit of afterlife.
But we're not talking to him today.
No, we're not.
Oh, well, you got all carried away, didn't you? We were talking to somebody completely different. We're talking to a very big guest.
Yes.
I could say a television star.
Yeah, he's been on all sorts of stuff. He's, what would you describe him as?
I would say Dr. Turi, Dr. Louis Turi,
yes,
is a French astrologer, clinical hypnotherapist, and astropsychologist. That's unusual.
That's an unusual term.
Turi was born and raised in Provence, France.
Provence.
Provence.
You savage.
Oh, dear. That's a very familiar place.
Yes.
Following 4 solid UFO experiences, Dr. Turi was downloaded the secrets of the cosmic code and was influenced to rekindle Nostradamus' methods of divine astrology. He also spent many years studying the Seers' Kabbalistic healing method.
Crikey. He's predicted all manner of interesting things.
He's predicted 9/11.
9/11, he predicted that. I'm looking here. He predicted Bob Hope's death. That's unfortunate, especially if you're Bob Hope. I hope he told him. SARS virus.
I hope Bob Hope knows he's dead.
I'm not saying I hope he's dead, but it looks like he's dead.
We don't hope Bob.
It says 1903 to 2003 next to his name, so I assume that means he's dead.
Look at this. He's the counselor of many celebrities, such as Ivana Trump.
Yeah, Gary Busey.
Peter Fonda.
The beauty that is.
Easy
Gary
Rider.
Busey. Are you sure he was an easy rider?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with that.
Who wants facts when you can just
make stuff up as you go along? Yeah. I thought that's what you were going with.
He's a regular on Coast to Coast. George Norrie is always promoting Dr. Turi. He's a great believer because he's a 95% accurate in his predictions.
That's a hell of a good rate.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty good.
He's been on the BBC in London. He appears on numerous television programs worldwide.
And he's getting up very early for us.
Yeah, he is.
He's in Phoenix, I believe, or somewhere in Arizona, and I think he's getting up at something like 7 a.m. for us, which is nice.
And he's in his 60s, I think.
He is, yeah.
And he doesn't look it.
62, I think.
Yeah.
Doing something right.
He's doing something right, perhaps we're not. And you can visit him at his webpage.
Yes, drturi.com. It's Turi.
And if you just Google Dr. Turi.
Just Google Dr. Turi, you can't help but find him.
You get about 500 pages up on him on Google.
Everywhere. All over the place.
Oh, yeah, and speaking of that, visit us on our Facebook page.
Yeah, why not? Facebook.com/Out There Hour. Or if you go to alternativefutureradio.com and click on the Facebook link, it will take you to our Out There Hour group, which is a lot more interactive than one of those fusty old pages.
We're always on. Well, we're not. We're often on the group. If I see anybody there,
we linger.
Actually, somebody joined there recently from somewhere in Europe.
Yeah,
I must say hello to him. I've forgotten to do that.
About 86 people have joined our little group so far.
Yes, and plus the guests.
Some of the guests are on there as well, so if you see a guest and you think, oh, I'd like to ask him a question about that or pull them up on something, join the group. They're probably in there.
You'll find us also on YouTube if you want to have a look there, but probably our main base would be the iTunes, where the one of the top 5 editors picks on iTunes.
We're all over iTunes like a nasty rash.
Have been now for quite some time.
Quite a while.
Don't like to boast.
No, we don't.
But we will anyway.
But we will. Shall we bring him on?
I think, yeah, let's do it.
Let's bring him in.
Let's bring him in.
Have you always been interested in the esoteric world? Perhaps you'd like to learn more about ufology, lost civilizations, cryptozoology, or even conspiracy theories. We have diploma courses in all these subjects and more, and our tutors are all experts in their fields. So, if you want to become an expert or just have a great time learning about exopolitics, false flag terrorism, or the paranormal, then the Esoteric Academy is the place for you. EsotericAcademy.com, where ideas and learning meet.
I hope you'll excuse me. I just wanted to play the piano just a little bit here, and I hope you don't mind. In fact, my nurse Chloe is going to join me on the flute here for just a little bit, if that's okay with you. I just thought that it would be time to do something fun here in the music room. But you know, you don't have to listen to things like this. There are better things you could be listening to, like alternative future radio. And it's so easy now with their new Android application. You can download it for just $1.99. And then you wouldn't have to listen to me play the piano and my nurse Chloe play her flute. Find out more at alternativefutureradio.com. It's just $1.99. And PayPal will even bill you in your currency if you're not smart enough to be using dollars.
Okay, everybody, we are now privileged to have Dr. Louis Turi calling in from Arizona, I believe. Dr. Turi, do we have you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for me on your show, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're in Arizona, I believe, aren't you? Must be very early there for you.
Yeah. No, it's only like 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's already pretty hot.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Probably not a bad time to be awake in Arizona, 7 a.m., not before the heat comes.
You got that right, because that's the only time I can take my dog for a walk, because they burn their paw. It's impossible to walk without your shoes. It's so hot.
We've heard about this extraordinary heat over in America at the moment. Back in Europe here, you'll be very pleased to hear we're getting none of it. We're just rain and cold. You're in the right place, Dr. Turi, at the moment.
That's correct. That's correct, my friend. As a matter of fact, I will be visiting my family in a couple of weeks, going down to the south of France, the French Riviera. I go there once a year, and I can't wait to visit my family again.
Okay. So let's just go over briefly, if you will, what is it that you actually do for those people who aren't aware of your work? You've appeared on various other shows, but for anybody who's not aware of it, how would you best describe what it is that you actually do?
I transcribe the cosmic codes, and I understand that the planets are much more than dead rocks hanging above your head. And those planets affect the human psyche and make them whom they are and what they do, offering gifts, shortcomings, offering opportunities. And reading those planets allow me to guide people to get the best of their abilities.
Okay. And what kind of information? What kind of information can you get, and how is it delivered to you?
Well, basically, I developed a software, the same type of software that NASA used to send a shuttle. Was the only difference that, unlike NASA scientists, I understand again that those planets have a very deep spiritual part that interact with the human psyche. I mean, you probably have heard of the word lunatic, moody, and crabby, which is a subconscious response to the power of the moon affecting humanity, especially during the time of a full moon. As you know, during this timing, the emergency services are getting quite busy. So not only the moon, but every single planet interacts with the human mind. The human mind is nothing else than a computer interacting with the universal mind, something, of course, that our infantile science has not yet uncovered. In fact, there are no accidents. There are only cosmic circumstances that are at work. And my job is to translate it.
The term lunatic, it comes from the Latin lunar.
Yeah,
and so
from the moon.
They obviously knew something a long time ago.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
And speaking of a long time ago, Dr. Turi, we were talking about Europe. I see where you were. It was rather interesting. You were born in a rather interesting part of France. Another famous, a very famous, what would you call him?
Astrologer? Seer? I think Seer, I think, is the correct term.
Nostradamus. That's rather a coincidence.
It's correct. Well, you know what? You have to keep in mind that I have nothing to do with Nostradamus per se, apart from that I was born in the same area and under the same stars, and worked about 40 years to rekindle his Divine Astrology methodology, and that's where I base my software. Again, people who do not know Dr. Turi will immediately lump him with a psychic. But again, my work is very logical, very rational. I am a different breed of scientist, put it this way. And the values of my work is literally unarguable. And I want to tell you right away that on July the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, using this methodology and my software, I want you to be ready for a sudden release of energy, which means the very, very high possibility of earthquake, natural disaster, tornado, explosion. The key words for those 3 days will be shocking news and explosion. And this is why in the United States they have called me CNN before CNN, or the reincarnated Nostradamus. So all that I do, again, is scientifically based.
Looking back at some of the subjects that you have predicted, there are some big names in there. Obviously, the biggest one that leaps off the page, obviously, is 9/11. A number of people have claimed to have predicted 9/11 in different ways. How did that come about? How did you predict it? What did you exactly predict, and how long before it? How long ago did you predict this?
About a year before it happened. You have to remember that without the cosmic consciousness, you only have conspiracy, science, and religious answers. And none of those will offer you the keys what it means to be human. As far as the 9/11 is concerned, well over a year before, I wrote all the details of what would transpire on this specific day. As a matter of fact, there is not a single major news, including the Asia tsunami and Katrina, that I did not predict. But you have to do your homework. You cannot assume. You have to go to drcherry.com and you have to click on predictions and you have to read what exactly I wrote. And when I mention at the very end, be ready for the government to take drastic action.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
When I talk about suicide, it's all in there. It is not in between the lines. It's very, very direct.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. You talk about the media having a very desperate sort of angle coming across the people and the world, people feeling that there's no hope, and then as you talk about suicide bombers and people from the Middle East, it's pretty eerie. It might not read like a transcript of the day, but the key points are there in some form, aren't they?
Right. I did give the right date. Some of fact, I had a visit from the Discovery Channel early this year, wanting to test my abilities. Yeah. And they told me, we're going to send a crew to you, and you need to have 5 predictions on an envelope. And when the crew arrived, we are going to open this envelope with your prediction, and we're going to check them against CNN. Yeah. When they arrived here, and they check on those 5 predictions, 5 of them came down to the point. I hit it on the nail, and they were really amazed. This is going to be broadcasted all over the States in a couple months from now.
Oh, great. That's interesting. That is good.
Yes.
Going on to
the difference...
Sorry, go on.
I was going to tell you that the difference between me and someone else is that I offer very specific dates. My work is dated, it's printed, it's published, it's on the radio, it's on television, and I gave you 3 dates. The 4th, the 5th, and the 6th of July. Yes. And I give you a color of the energy for you to test my ability when it comes those 3 days. That's all.
Oh, well, it's not far away now, so...
No. We're
shocking news.
No, yes. Yeah. And people have a very short memory, so when I give prediction, I try to give them as close as possible. But there is no time in space. I can make predictions that will transpire next month, next year, 10 years, 100 years from now. It's all mathematics, put it this way. Anybody can do it, providing, of course, he is educated and build his own cosmic consciousness. And I do have students all over the world that takes my course, my home course on CDs and DVDs.
Well, we weren't going to put you on
anyone can do it.
We weren't putting you on the spot, Dr. Turi, but you've given us some dates here, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th of July coming. Yeah. So, the day after tomorrow or something.
By the time this show airs, that will already have happened. So that's going to be interesting. People can go and look up and see what happened on that day.
So the key words is shocking news and explosive.
Yeah. Earthquake, I think.
You got it.
Okay. Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, there is also... But there is also news involving NASA, involving the cosmos, the UFO planets. It's an energy that extraterrestrials use to translate, to transform, and operate on this dense physical world. Because myself, I have had those incredible experiences, of course, of the fourth kind, to tell you the truth. That is something that is very, very extraordinary. And again, extraordinary experiences breed incredible people that have incredible story and wisdom to share.
So you've had an extraterrestrial experience yourself?
The extraterrestrials have been with me since the age of 7 years old.
Well,
tell us about that. How did they first contact you?
The first time I saw extraterrestrials, I was punished. I was in the attic, away from the rest of the family, and I spent quite a lot of time as a child in the attic because I was very handful. I'm an extreme case of ADHD, which is not a disorder actually. ADD it's a gift from what I perceive it, but I start to see those things as I said, as a child. And during those days, 1957, there was nobody in my little village in France that could explain to me, or to anybody for that matter, what was UFOs and grays and extraterrestrials, especially when we did not own a radio or a television, so we had no clue. but one thing sure, they were coming every single night, and they were freaking the hell out of me, excuse my French.
I bet.
You bet, yes. But the good news is that they left me the morning after, petrified but alive. And everybody thought I was going insane because I was screaming and waking up the entire neighborhood. And even at school, they told my mother that something was wrong with my head, and I needed to be fixed. And during those days, we didn't have Prozac or Ritalin. We only had electrical shock. And my mother, of course, didn't go for that. She said, "No way, I ain't going to fry my son's brain."
Yeah.
That was the first introduction that I had with extraterrestrials. But I had 4 solid UFO experiences altogether.
Well, you're not alone in that respect, because only this morning we it's quite coincidental. We spoke to a gentleman in Whitby in the UK, a politician, a Labour councillor, and his experiences with aliens started at the age of 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, in my case, I have better thing than to make up story about extraterrestrial, but I remember I was barely 19 years old. One of the most incredible experiences took place when I took my sister to work. She missed the bus. She was working during those days in the mountains somewhere in the south of France. So, cut the story short, it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm exhausted. I need direction. I need to stay awake, and I stop in a little restaurant, and that's where I met 3 guys. They were over 6'5" in height.
Okay.
They were so tall. I thought they were logs. They were totally motionless against the bar, looking straight ahead of them. And then I came next to them, and I asked the barman for a cup of coffee and a Coca-Cola for my little sister. One of them turned around and looked at me, and he says, "Louis, do you want to play cards with me?" Never seen the man from God knows where. One thing I can tell you is like I felt if somebody stick a screwdriver from one temple to the other side of my head. Okay, it was like incredible pain. I was holding to the bar, not wondering what was happening to me. Then I went to the bathroom, putting some cold water in my face because I thought I was going to pass out, and I was connected. Mentally, I was speaking to this person, asking him, "What are you doing to me? Who are you? What's going on here?" And by the time I went back inside of the little bar, in the middle of the French mountains, in the middle of the night, open, which is very, very unusual, these 3 guys were gone. Next thing I know, when I grabbed my sister and I said, "Let's get out of here," it is 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. I'm driving back home. I do not know where have I been all night long. My sister doesn't recall anything whatsoever. And most of all, I had a headache. I had that I would never wish to my worst enemy that lasts for weeks at a time. So that was a very, very painful type of experience that I still today wonder what they did to me.
Do you think that they chose you for a reason, or was it random? Was there something different about you that they may have chosen?
Well, it comes back to the 3rd experience, which is November 11, 1981. In the south of France, when I was going back and forth from England. During those days, I was working in England, and I was also attending the Royal School of Music, learning music and piano. As I was driving with my brother in the vineyard towards his discotheque, that's where his brand new Mercedes stalled. It was about 10:30 in the evening. And right there, above my head, less than 30 feet, a monstrous, huge flying saucer was suspended, motionless above the car. That is an incredible experience because at that very precise moment, you are forced to accept the reality of extraterrestrials and flying saucers, because now you have one suspended above your head. And it is such a shocking, such an incredible experience that you have the right to be skeptical unless you undergo such a personal experience. And then that led me to the very last one, which is the top of the top. That was August 11, 1991. Isn't that funny? November 11, 1981, August 11, 1991. That's and you don't forget those dates. They will be carved in my mind forever. on that very specific days, my wife and I was married with Brigitte during those days. We were traveling from Oceanside, California, to about 30 minutes away to a beauty pageant meeting she had. And then we ended up 90 miles north after Los Angeles in a matter of a second. I'm telling you, I recall I was sucked into a flying saucer. I saw my wife being operated on, where they took the fetus of our child. Of course, she divorced me because she was in shock after that.
Yeah.
And that's where the extraterrestrials got me into a small room where something came from the ceiling, like a helmet, and then that helmet came on top of my head. And I felt like a mixture of thin air, electricity, glass, concrete, steel. I can't really, there is no words to explain how I felt. And that's where I was downloaded the Cosmic Code secrets. Now, following that experience, a week later, I just could not stop myself to read everything about Nostradamus, about astrology, about metaphysics, about the spirit, and I decorated every single walls and my doors on my house with artifacts, astrological, UFOs. The experience was so traumatic to me, and since then I was working in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, and before that in San Diego on the U.S. base into engineering. I had nothing to do with writing books, with speaking about UFO, teaching metaphysics, or doing predictions. But in 1991, shortly after this incredible encounter, that's where my life completely changed, and there I am today. Dr. Turi, literally all over the world doing predictions.
What did you do? What was your occupation then before that experience, Dr. Turi?
I was into construction and engineering. I used to work in Pearl Harbor and San Diego U.S. base.
So really, you had
in Hawaii,
no grounding in UFOs or anything odd or strange like that. You were just a fairly, a professional, regular person.
Yeah. Tell me.
Exactly. I had nothing. I came to the United States because I wanted to further my musical career. But trust me, when you go through an experience like that, your life, you change. Everything changes around you. And it's pretty incredible type of experience, but that's what it is.
I wonder.
And it's very real.
Yeah, you're a musician. I wonder, are musicians more open to this kind of experience? I know that John Lennon famously had witnessed a UFO. Do you think there's something in that? Do you think maybe the artistic types?
Well, exactly. A magnet will not attract a piece of wood. If you vibrate at a high spiritual level, you are going to attract that energy. There are people that are oversensitive and they join cults, so they become religiously involved into specific groups. Now, there are other people that their UCI or their unique celestial identity, their planetary connection and formation is so logical, is so rational, that they jump into politics or engineering, and they become atheists. They become the pillar of society. There are other people that are highly spiritual, highly intellectual, and this is all a program that is affecting the human psyche. Your brain is nothing else than a computer made of flesh, stuck in a bony box, and this brain is reacting to the outside stimuli produced by the stars that makes you who you are. But the reality is 99.09% of the people walking this earth, including science, are not conscious of this phenomenon. I am, and that's why I give proof of my work.
Dr. Turi, I was looking before you came on at some of your previous interviews, things that's on your website that I found, and one question I saw, which I've seen and I've read your answer to, but I'm going to ask you again because it's a question I've been asking people a lot, because we have a lot of people on the show talking about UFOs and cover-ups and disclosure and all this kind of thing. There have been a number of UFO and UFO-related stories in the media, not necessarily even sightings, but a general presence in the media of UFO-related and alien-related stories, sometimes in the fictional media, in soap operas, but sometimes in the news, and they're never really a UFO has been sighted here. They're never as obvious as that. They're very subtle, and that has been going on for, I think, about a year now. And I wondered, first of all, have you noticed this? Is this a correct assumption? And what do you think it means?
Well, basically, we are moving towards the age of Aquarius, and this energy, which will displace power on the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, regulates the UFO phenomenon, and it's going to be increasing as we move into this new age of Aquarius, this new age of the impossible, the incredible. This age has helped humanity to increase its technological values and discovery. So there will be more and more people that were born with that energy, like Dr. Turi, that will attract this type of experience. But you still have to keep in mind that there is a lot of people talking about UFOs and extraterrestrials, and all they do is to talk about something that was spoken before. They either read a book, they watch a TV show, they are just repeating something, but themselves had never had a UFO experience. So you got to be cautious. In my case, the difference, again, is that they did not give me a toy or a tool, because that does not agree with antimatter and this dense physical world. But they gave me a very obvious spiritual legacy, which I offer you, again, a way to test in the near future. So you got to be cautious with these speakers, and indeed, that's going to become more of a routine to see and accept the incredible UFO phenomenon for a lot of people in the future.
Speaking of the future and UFOs, again, I'm almost reluctant to ask these questions sometimes, because I ask them to everybody, but I must do it because all the answers are, sometimes they're different and sometimes they're the same. But what about 2012? You say moving into the age of Aquarius. Do you envisage anything happening on December 21st? Has that date come up to you for any kind of event, small or large?
Basically, there'll be nothing. I'm sure you remember the year 2000 or the year Y2K, when a lot of people were emailing me. I mean, there was no computer, I didn't have a computer during those days. But no, it'll be a normal day as can be. The only difference is a golden door, which is already opening. It will be offered to humanity to be ready, to be more spiritual, to realize that what cannot be seen, touched, doesn't mean it's not true. So it's a vibration, it's a high vibration that's going to offer more consciousness to humanity at large. It's a slow process, but there are people that are already born with that energy. I'm one of those that attract those experiences and are able to foresee the future. But what you have to be more aware of is the dragon. For a lack of words, the dragon is from a constellation called Draco, or an energy coming from the moon, if that makes sense to you. This dragon in August and for the next year and a half, following August the 15th, will force humanity to undergo a wake-up call. There will be no secrets left under the blanket. As a matter of fact, I made a predictions on George Norrie for the FBI to be caught doing something bad involving prostitution. I also talk about the financial affair of the Vatican being exposed. And if not long ago, you've seen those news coming on CNN. That was broadcasted a couple of years ago on Coast to Coast. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that scorpionic energy regulates the police force, the FBI, the CIA, the criminal element, and it could easily also bring an upsurge of suicide, because people who do have the opportunity to regenerate their spirit will fall back into religious, archaic, end-of-the-world type of energy. Others will rely on science and medication to face their spiritual degeneration, and that would increase the suicide. In fact, it's coming to the light in the United States. Every 28 minutes, a public servant, would it be in the police force, would it be serving in the Navy, on the Army, commits suicide. And it's getting completely out of order, and of course there is no scientific explanation why our kids are lining up to kill themselves. And that's why. Because the tail of the dragon is affecting some of these people, either in the house of health or in the subconscious, which induces some very deep psychological changes. And without information, without grounding, without spiritual answers, all they can do is just shoot their head off. It is terrible.
Wow, my goodness. So as a result of these four, UFO experiences, is this where the power to make predictions came from? Did they do something to you that gave you this, or downloaded something into your mind, or
Correct.
That's what happened?
This is exactly what happened, and I see it as a blessing sometimes, because it allowed me to be recognized, taken seriously, and offer me a good test of the American dream. But it's also a curse, because I'm fully aware of what's going on. But traditionally educated people or religious people will not think outside of the box, and they are totally unaware of what you call the supraconscious in time and space. In other words, the future is nothing else than the reincarnation of the thoughts. Now, knowing the future is nothing else than the reincarnation of the thought, it is very important to stop feeding evil and to realize that we are not doomed. We are creating our future every single second. And the supraconscious in time and space is responsible not only for your own future, but for humanity as a whole. It's something that, again, science and the rest of the world is not fully conscious of just yet. And this is something that is, again, imparted by the wisdom following my UFO's experiences. And all I'm doing when I predict negative news is to use the negativity that is the current, fluent current that is pointing out north to any compass. I'm just using that energy to make a point. but I can also predict very beautiful things, especially on a personal level. When people ask me for a consultation of a Skype or a full life reading, I can point out where the golden door is in terms of getting a better health, more money, finding love. And it is not a Mrs. Cleo psychic type of work that I do. You have to put energy, you have to understand the dynamics, and you have to respect some universal laws. But, you know, when I arrived in the United States in 1984, I had no green cards. I was homeless. I had no friends. I certainly didn't have the very expensive toy I have today and big house and everything I'm enjoying today. So I am a real full example that the American dream can be reached for anybody in any country, providing you understand the laws. The American dream exists in every country, not just in America. I came all the way from France, from England, as a matter of fact, where I could not even afford an half a lager, my friend. I could not even afford a bike. When I was working in Eastbourne, in Sussex. I had no money. All my money was going towards my study at the Royal School of Music. And I had to work my butt off for years to be able to save my plane ticket, put it this way. But it was the best thing that I could ever do because I took a chance and I was pushed by unseen forces to fulfill my mission to free humanity from fear and ignorance.
So you were following your intuition. I mean, we all have this thing, intuition. Is that what you were doing what your gut told you and going, even though it didn't feel safe?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people miss out in their lives. They put themselves into boxes and they don't follow their heart or their intuition.
Exactly. Well, it is said by the dragon, if the dragon hit your ninth house, which is the house you regulate foreign land and foreign ground and foreign affairs, you will feel the urge to travel or to take on some high study. If the tail of the dragon, like it happened to me, end up on your marriage area, things will happen that will create the end of a 12 years relationship like it happened with Brigitte. So again, there are no accidents, only cosmic circumstances which are not yet being used, understood by society and science.
Tell me...
Again, I'm just a little bit ahead of time, that's all.
Dr. Turi, I look at some of your previous predictions, and as you mentioned yourself, a lot of them are very negative, you know, diseases
and catastrophes. There's no good way of giving bad news.
It is bad news.
You know.
Tell me, have you ever predicted some big events which are good news? If so, can you give us an example of any good news predictions that you may have done?
There's not a lot of good news.
There must be some.
As I said earlier, I am using the negative thought process to make a point. Okay, everybody around you, if you look at it, are negative. You rarely will find people that are very highly positive and very successful. The reflection of society is a reflection of its thought and the reflection of its creation. So, in other words, I did actually predict some good news in terms of humanity being able to invest in technology. I did some positive predictions, but I have to use what is for me to use, which is generated by the masses, which is the negativity. Again, if you take a compass, it's going to point out north. It's not going to point out south. Okay. What people do not understand, humans are very, very complex. You have two eyes, two arms, two legs, two sides of a brain. You are symmetrical. You're like a walking battery. So when you decide to do the right thing on the physical plane, which means you eat your vegetables, you exercise, okay, you take care of charging the battery physically, positively, and you do the same psychically, which means you watch nice TV program if you can, you enjoy your life, you become creative, then your battery becomes supremely charged. And that takes your thought and turn it into a laser beam that can hit the supraconscious in time and space, that will provide you with the blessings of being at the right time, at the right place to reach and promote all your wishes. Okay, now, tell me how many people you know that feel this way. They are either negative or neutral. It is the most difficult thing nowadays to be positive. I am, because I have everything to being positive. I understand also the process. If you constantly eat bad foods, you become overweight, you start to create high blood pressure, heart problems. You're not understanding that you are messing up your physical envelopes in your body. On top of that, the medication you receive, the bad news, the religious poisoning, all this negative energy that you watch on negative programming on the dysfunctional television, again, you are discharging your body. And this is what millions of people are doing, and I'm using that energy to tell them, look what you're doing to your future. But imagine for 1 second, like John Lennon said, imagine if there were no religion, or imagine if there were no fears out there, but only education. The potential for humanity to live a respectful, productive, safe life is so very incredible. It will happen, though, because that is one of my predictions that I made. It will happen within 20 to 25 years, when the face and the tools of God, through His creation, through the cosmic code, through His universal design, are understood and used and applied by all humanity. This world will finally reach the light. So that is a positive prediction, my friend.
So you're saying, really, it's a state of mind. You know, if you think negative, it feeds on itself. You become more negative. But if you think positive, that also feeds on itself, and you become more positive, and perhaps you even attract positive events towards you. Would that be a fair estimation?
There is not just a thing of perhaps. You that your thoughts, your thoughts are able to alter matter. Your thoughts are things, and electrical things that can penetrate matter and mold them in a specific direction. You know, but you cannot only take care of one side of yourself, and, for example, being extraordinarily positive and stuff yourself with McDonald's every day, because your body will suffer, and that leads you to depression and to disease. You have to be positive on both the physical and the spiritual plane. And without the right education, the right information, your fears will take over. Your lack of education will make you eat all sorts of things and no exercise. You are messing up your battery. You need to objectively understand you are a walking battery. And it's all up to you to either plug yourself into the light or unplug yourself and feed evil. There's nothing more simple than that explanation. However, it is still the most incredibly difficult information for humanity or science to assimilate.
It's simple.
Does that make sense?
You make perfect sense. It's very simple. Like all good things and like all true things, they're simple, not complicated. Dr. Turi, I'm just wondering, how do the predictions come to you? Do they come to you in images, or?
I was just about to ask the same question.
How do the? Or are you reading some astrology, or how do you make the predictions? How does it work?
Okay. First of all, you have to understand the dynamics of the universe. You have to understand that Mars, the red planet, represent blood, represent in mythology the Lord of War. This planet regulates accident, discordance, and war. And when Mars is in bad aspect to a planet like Pluto, which is a planet of the underworld and death and drama, it's going to translate into the news. Now, I want you to really be aware of that. I do not predict anything at all. You and I know, including your audience, they all know that nature has a pattern. There are seasons. So not only nature return and follow a pattern, but the same pattern is visible with the weather and with the news. I understand the mechanics of what produced the pattern in the news. There is no psychic, there is no reading leaves, there is no looking into water. There is just a software that point out where those planets above are and how they communicate with each other, which translates into the human's affair. You can do it. If you were one of my students, you would be as capable as I am to translate those stars, because they are more than dead rock hanging out there for the sake of beauty. And that's where there is a difference between Dr. Turi, an astronomer, a neuroscientist, or any scientist for that matter. They all have lost the spirits, my friends, and my job is to bring it back.
You're actually you do workshops, do you, Dr. Turi, in America?
Yeah. I just came back from Canada, where I was talking on the power of the mind. I have a couple crews set up in different places. I'm 62 now, so I'm kind of getting tired. But I keep writing, I keep educating people, and I would strongly recommend anyone to join the Cosmic Code. This is a very specific website where I take care of people personally every month for 12 months as a testing ground, where I do their forecast, their transit, explain the power of the moon, explain the Cosmic Code. As a matter of fact, if you guys email me, I can get you in from the back door so you can enjoy my work. I'm inviting you to become Cosmic Coder.
Oh, lovely.
That might
Sounds
be my
very
pleasure
interesting.
to have you there.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah, just email me.
I will certainly do
And
that.
I'll get you in there in the back door.
We'd be among we'd be among some quite salubrious company looking at some of your clients here, Dr. Turi. We've got Ivana Trump, Peter Fonda, Gary Busey, just to name a few.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Well, there is also NASA student who is who in America in the cancer research surgery. Attorney. You have to be smart to deal with Dr. Turi. The regular morons, again, excuse my French, are not the type of people that are spiritually or curious enough to dig into the supreme consciousness. So if you are curious and if you're smart, that means you vibrate at my level, and I can offer you, of course, the pearls of wisdom, but you have to ask. If you don't ask, you won't receive. So far, I have only 5,500 people that have joined on this website, but the numbers are growing every single day.
I'm just curious. I'm curious actually about Gary Busey, because he was in that terrific film. He did an autobiography of Buddy Holly. It's an award-winning film. It's a fantastic film. But I know that I've recently seen him on the television a few years ago. He's had a lot of trouble with addiction, and he just doesn't seem to be able to get over it. Are you able to help him with that, Dr. Turi? Is that why he's...
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Matter of fact, he called me yesterday, and he was a bit upset at me. He says, "It's my birthday, Dr. Turi. Why aren't you in Malibu? We're inviting you." Well, I said, "Look, just come back. Well, we have a very, very good relationship." You see, Gary was born with the planet of sudden release of energy. That planet that will show its signature upon the world on the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. the next few days. He was born with this eccentric planet in the sign on the sign of Gemini in his first house. So that makes him very, very eccentric. But you have to remember, being a celebrity means also a very heavy use of drugs. I mean, you could take, for example, the sad example of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson needed chemicals to do his job and needed more chemicals to go to sleep. And next thing you know, he's dead. You know, so it is, when you are a celebrity, you've got to use these chemicals, those drugs, and you can easily get addicted mostly because this is how it works. You don't belong to yourself. You belong to the public. You belong to the contract you have signed. You're talking about millions of dollars of investment, and you have to put your career, your celebrity status before your health. That's not my case, because I am a celebrity in the dark, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm the star of the stars. I'm bringing the light to the stars themselves. But I'm in a very safe place, put it this way, because my statue doesn't demand me to conform to perform every single night. Today in Paris, tomorrow in Tokyo, after tomorrow in Australia. This puts a lot on the mind and the body and the soul of any celebrity. It is very unhealthy, very, very unhealthy to be a celebrity, my friend. And again, the fact is, Michael Jackson, you could see that the amount of celebrity that end up that have a very short life.
I can sympathise, because I was a musician for about 16 years, a working musician, nearly every weekend or during the week, and it was incredibly draining energetically. I don't know,
psychologically?
Psychologically, but it's almost like my energy used to be sucked out of me.
You were being drawn out.
Yeah, I think I nearly, if I had been on more money, I might have, considered taking something to keep me going. Because it was tiring.
Could it be that you're putting out a positive energy and the audience are negative and sucking the energy out of you?
Yeah, that was a regular thing too.
That's amazing, because this is exactly what it is. I remember when I was performing, there were nights where I was constipated, and again, excuse my French, I didn't feel like singing.
Exactly.
I didn't feel like performing. But I had a contract. I was part of a band. There's nothing I could do than to perform. I had to. And I was sucking the energy from the people in front of me, okay? And it was just for the amount of time I was on stage. But as soon as it was done, I was more drained than when I started, obviously, because I put my best to perform. And then you keep doing this, you need outside help, you need chemicals, you need drugs. I used to drink a lot when I was singing and performing. I used to drink a hell of a lot just to be able to cope.
That was me as well, yeah.
Very, very unhealthy lifestyle.
Absolutely, and the drink I found was a very disruptive force in my life. I mean, even when I wasn't drinking during the week, it was still affecting me. After the heavy drinking of the weekend, it was the effects of alcohol. People underestimate them, I think, and these drugs.
Yeah, being a celebrity feeds the ego. The ego is indestructible. You will never hurt your ego apart from somebody telling you you're not good. But obviously you have made your point because you are a celebrity. So your ego is the only thing that will win at the end. Okay? But the rest of your body, your mind, and your soul is going to take a serious talking. And then you're going to pay the price ultimately. Very, very unhealthy lifestyle.
I had to get out of it in the end, really, just for a bit of peace of mind and spiritual peace. It was just too much for me.
Plus, you have to remember, you have to remember, as human beings, we were not born with shoes. One of the best ways to regenerate the human body and to replenish your chakras is to walk barefoot. But I'm not talking about walking on carpet, wood floors, or tile, or on your tire. I'm talking about walking on the beaches, by the water, on the dirt, on the grass. So that is one of the best ways to regenerate. And sad enough, a lot of people do not take this in consideration. They live their entire life in city blocks, and you wonder why they become insane and kill each other and turn themselves into gangs. There is so much is taking place with the evolution of humanity, and we need to go back to Mother Earth. We need to go back to nature.
Simple
we need to
things.
go back to sanity. Yeah, very simple things. I remember, when I was a kid, when the River Rhone used to get out of his bed, I used to go hunting for fish with a pound of water that was there. And it was cold, it was hot, it doesn't matter. I was dirty, I was messy, but I was so happy. Now, you tell me, the kids nowadays, they don't have that. All they have is the technology, their cell phone, the television. What type of memory, what type of connection do they have with nature and Mother Earth? And if those kids are not fed spiritually, properly, and reconnect with Mother Earth, they're going to be doing some serious damage to themselves and to society at large. I just don't understand it. I'm so glad I was born in 1915.
Same here.
I'm so happy I was born in 1915.
Myself and Mark had the same kind of upbringing. We were put out the door in the morning, and we didn't go back again until the evening. It's just, and there is something wrong with children. I don't like to say that, but there is something going on with children. Each generation seems to be a little more dysfunctional than the last, or maybe I'm being old and miserable. I don't know. But I think it's... No.
Do you know? The current generation, I call them the baby wasted generation. They're the kids that were born with the planet of death, Pluto, into the sign of Scorpio, which is controlled also by Pluto. So those kids were generated with drama, with sex, with they are very born dysfunctional and very destructive. Now there is the gang generation, there is the baby boom generation, there is the baby wasted generation. The baby wasted generation is the victim of the First and Second World War, when the planet of death was in the sign of home and family into the sign of Cancer, where food was scarce, where home were destroyed, where family were totally destroyed because of the First and Second World War, or the result of Hitler, so to speak. Then after the baby wasted generation came my generation, which is the baby boom generation, where the planet of death entered the sign of Leo, which is the sign of love and light, and give replenish the earth, so to speak. Then you had the gang generation, the baby bastards generation. These are the ones who are going to be in power very soon. They are health lunatic. They are born scientists. They are logical. They are rational. This generation is about to get to power. These are the ones who have stopped everybody doing the wrong thing as far as health is concerned, but they are totally obnoxious, and they swallow all sorts of pills, and they have no common sense in terms of the spirit. This is the generation. Then after them, you have the death wish generation that will take power. So, I mean, I can see ahead very clearly.
Actually,
each generation doing its homework.
It's rather remarkable you're saying that to me, Dr. Turi, because actually at the moment I live in a very, very, very quiet rural area in the middle of nowhere. But what we're suffering, can you believe, is what would you call them? Break-ins, robberies, attacks by youth.
Hold-ups, really.
Hold-ups, muggings of in the middle of the country, of 18 to 19 to 20, 20s youth. And you just called it.
But that's the death wish generation, my friend.
Wow.
This is the result of the death wish generation.
Yeah.
But the older ones are more into health and science and education. But you get an understanding that each generation is affected by a planet called Pluto, and in each sign this planet is going to reflect the qualities or the shortcoming of the souls born during his passage in a specific sign. And I took in reference the death wish generation, the baby boom generation, to give you an example.
Yes.
But, you cannot be surprised of these kids doing some serious damage, and they have no respect for life.
Awful.
They have no respect for nothing.
No empathy. No empathy. Dr. Turi, I feel...
Again, they are that they are the victim of a failing educational or religious system. You know, you will never be able to help humanity with traditional science or archaic religious belief. This is the old stories that this generation couldn't care less about religion, and you have to approach them on a spiritual base. They do not understand the depth of the emotions, the depth of cruelty, the depth of their feelings, destructive feelings, and nobody is there to educate them on how to control these feelings. There is no metaphor being used to help them to change direction and use Pluto in the sign of Scorpio to its best outcome. But, hey, the system is set where evil, control, and reign. And all I can do is to hope one day I'll be able to start my astropsychological school and offer those children and their parents some real education here.
Yeah. Dr. Turi, I feel like I've walked into a time warp because it seems like a minute that we've been chatting. I'm getting the word here. It's been an hour. We're going to have to wrap it up, and we've only scratched the surface, and I'm only just getting an understanding of what Dr. Turi is about.
Yeah.
But can you, for the listeners and the audience, can you tell us what you're up to at the moment, or are you promoting anything?
Yes, I'll give you a website and details.
Yeah, just somewhere they can visit.
Well, again... Yeah, you can go to drturi.com, that's my name, D-R-T-U-R-I, and if you scroll down to my main page, you can read 22 sets of predictions. It's a big use site, which you will have fun reading all sorts of things, but ultimately, they should join the cosmic code and being part of a very, very specific breed of human being willing to accept the UFO reality, willing to understand the cosmic code and the face and the tools of our Creator. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Turi. It's been great having you on.
I've read here also, have you got a Facebook page also that people can visit, or would you rather them go directly to the website?
Well, again, you know... Put it this way, Google Dr. Turi, you're going to have millions of hits.
That's correct.
You can read anything about Dr. Turi all over the place. I also put some video on YouTube on predictions and UFOs. So there is a lot of material out there that you can enjoy, guys. Thank you very much again for having me on your show.
Oh, no, thank you, Dr. Turi. We didn't feel like we've had enough. Maybe you'll come back and talk to us again at some point in the future.
And we'll compare notes on whatever may or may not happen on July 4, 5, and 6.
Well, let's see what happens.
We will see. Thank you, Dr. Turi. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's a given. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks ever so much.
Wow. That was
Dr. Turi.
DrTuri.com is his website, and it is indeed full of all sorts of bits and bobs and information. And
what a very nice guy. He's got a 95% accuracy.
Has he really?
Yes, he has.
Didn't
really.
read that?
Yeah, I know. Why didn't I read it while he was on?
Duh.
Idiot. I know. Yeah. It's interesting in Gary Busey. Do you know who he is, Mark?
I know Gary Busey. Yeah.
You know, but
me and Gary Busey, we go back a long time.
And I wasn't. It's known information. He was a celebrity.
Yeah, he was,
because it was a program, so everybody.
He was, true. Yeah. Gary Busey, I knew. Peter Fonda, I didn't know. Who's he?
Peter Fonda is Henry Fonda's son.
I assume so.
He appeared in Born to be Wild. What was that one with Jack Nicholson?
Oh, right.
Something about bikers.
Easy Rider?
Easy Rider.
Oh, really?
I think he was an Easy Rider.
That was a long time ago. Are you sure he's old enough?
Well, it wasn't him. I think it was Peter. But look at Jane Fonda. She's true. Yeah, 190 odd now. She looks great.
At least 190. Oh dear.
Thanks to Dr. Turi, and thank you for the listeners.
See you later.
We'll see you next time.
And sorry, Jane Fonda.
You're listening to Alternative Future Radio, home of the weird, resting place of the paranormal. We'll take you to the furthest reaches of the galaxy and beyond. Strange phenomena, aliens, psychics, cryptozoology, conspiracy, holistic health, and UFOs. Alternative Future Radio, where spooky just got weird.
Raised in Provence, France.
Provence, you savage.
Oh dear. That's a very familiar place.
Yes.
Following 4 solid UFO experiences, Dr. Turi was downloaded the secrets of the cosmic code and was influenced to rekindle Nostradamus' methods of divine astrology. He also spent many years studying the Seers' Kabbalistic healing method.
Crikey. He's predicted all manner of interesting things.
He's predicted 9/11.
9/11, he predicted that. I'm looking here. He predicted Bob Hope's death. That's unfortunate, especially if you're Bob Hope. I hope he told him. SARS virus.
I hope Bob Hope knows he's dead.
I hope he... I mean, I'm not saying I hope he's dead, but it looks like he's dead.
We don't hope Bob...
It says 1903 to 2003 next to his name, so I assume that means he's dead.
Look at this. He's the counsellor of many celebrities, such as Ivana Trump.
Yeah, Gary Busey.
Peter Fonda.
The beauty that is.
Easy
Gary
Rider.
Busey. Are you sure he was an easy rider?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with that.
Who wants facts when you can just
make stuff up as you go along? Yeah. I thought that's what you were going with.
He's a regular on Coast to Coast. George Norrie is always promoting Dr. Churi. He's a great believer because he's a 95% accurate in his predictions.
That's a hell of a good rate.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty good.
He's been on the BBC in London. He appears on numerous television programs worldwide,
and he's getting up very early for us.
Yeah, he is.
He's in Phoenix, I believe, or somewhere in Arizona, and I think he's getting up at something like 7 a.m. for us, which is nice.
Gosh, and he's in his 60s, I think.
He is, yeah.
And he doesn't look it.
62, I think.
Yeah.
Doing something right.
He's doing something right, perhaps we're not. And you can visit him at his webpage.
Yes, drturi.com. It's Turi.
And if you just Google Dr. Turi.
Just Google Dr. Turi, you can't help but find him.
You get about 500 pages up on him on Google.
Everywhere. All over the place.
Oh, yeah, and speaking of that, visit us on our Facebook page.
Yeah, why not? Facebook.com/Out There Hour, or if you go to alternativefutureradio.com and click on the Facebook link, it will take you to our Out There Hour group, which is a lot more interactive than one of those fusty old pages.
We're always on. Well, we're not. We're often on the group. If I see anybody there,
we linger.
Actually, somebody joined there recently from somewhere in Europe. I must say hello to him. I've forgotten to do that.
About 86 people have joined our little group so far.
Yes, and plus the guests.
Some of the guests are on there as well, so if you see a guest and you think, I'd like to ask him a question about that or pull him up on something, join the group. They're probably in there.
You'll find us also on YouTube if you want to have a look there, but probably our main base would be the iTunes, where the one of the top 5 editors picks on iTunes.
We're all over iTunes like a nasty rash.
Have been now for quite some time.
Quite a while.
Don't like to boast.
No, we don't.
But we will anyway.
But we will. Shall we bring him on?
I think, let's do it.
Let's bring him in.
Have you always been interested in the esoteric world? Perhaps you'd like to learn more about ufology, lost civilizations, cryptozoology, or even conspiracy theories. We have diploma courses in all these subjects and more, and our tutors are all experts in their fields. So, if you want to become an expert or just have a great time learning about exopolitics, false flag terrorism, or the paranormal, then the Esoteric Academy is the place for you. EsotericAcademy.com, where ideas and learning meet.
I hope you'll excuse me. I just wanted to play the piano just a little bit here, and I hope you don't mind. In fact, my nurse Chloe is going to join me on the flute here for just a little bit, if that's okay with you. I just thought that it would be time to do something fun here in the music room. But you don't have to listen to things like this. There are better things you could be listening to, like alternative future radio. And it's so easy now with their new Android application. You can download it for just $1.99. And then you wouldn't have to listen to me play the piano and my nurse Chloe play her flute. Find out more at alternativefutureradio.com. It's just $1.99. And PayPal will even bill you in your currency if you're not smart enough to be using dollars.
Okay, everybody, we are now privileged to have Dr. Louis Turi calling in from Arizona, I believe. Dr. Turi, do we have you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for me on your show, my friend. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're in Arizona, I believe, aren't you? Must be very early there for you.
Yeah. No, it's only like 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's already pretty hot.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Probably not a bad time to be awake in Arizona, 7 a.m., not before the heat comes.
You got that right, because that's the only time I can take my dog for a walk, because they burn their paw. It's impossible to walk without your shoes. It's so hot.
We've heard about this extraordinary heat over in America at the moment. Back in Europe here, you'll be very pleased to hear we're getting none of it. We're just rain and cold. You're in the right place, Dr. Turi, at the moment.
That's correct. That's correct, my friend. As a matter of fact, I will be visiting my family in a couple of weeks, going down to the south of France, the French Riviera. I go there once a year, and I can't wait to visit my family again.
Okay. So let's just go over briefly, if you will, what is it that you actually do for those people who aren't aware of your work? You've appeared on various other shows, but for anybody who's not aware of it, how would you best describe what it is that you actually do?
I transcribe the cosmic codes, and I understand that the planets are much more than dead rocks hanging above your head. And those planets affect the human psyche and make them whom they are and what they do, offering gifts, shortcomings, offering opportunities, and reading those planets allow me to guide people to get the best of their abilities.
Okay. And what kind of information? What kind of information can you get, and how is it delivered to you?
Well, basically, I developed a software, the same type of software that NASA used to send the shuttle. Was the only difference that, unlike NASA scientists, I understand again that those planets have a very deep spiritual part that interacts with the human psyche. I mean, you probably have heard of the word lunatic, moody, and crabby. Yeah. Which is a subconscious response to the power of the moon affecting humanity, especially during the time of a full moon. As you know, during this timing, the emergency services are getting quite busy. So not only the moon, but every single planet interacts with the human mind. The human mind is nothing else than a computer interacting with the universal mind, something, of course, that our infantile science has not yet uncovered. In fact, there are no accidents. There are only cosmic circumstances that are at work. And my job is to translate it.
The term lunatic, it comes from the Latin lunar.
Yeah,
and so
from the moon.
They obviously knew something a long time ago.
Yeah, indeed, yeah.
And speaking of a long time ago, Dr. Turi, we were talking about Europe. I see where you were. It was rather interesting. You were born in a rather interesting part of France. Another famous, a very famous, what would you call him?
Astrologer? Seer? I think Seer. Seer, I think, is the correct term.
Nostradamus.
You're listening to Alternative Future Radio, home of the weird, resting place of the paranormal. Will take you to the furthest reaches of the galaxy and beyond. Strange phenomena, aliens, psychics, cryptozoology, conspiracy, holistic health, and UFOs. Alternative Future Radio, where spooky just got weird.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the glory that is the Out There Hour. You may bask in it all you will. Today, we are going to be predicting something fantastic. Today's guest, it's Dr. Turi.
The Out There Hour on Alternative Future Radio. The Out There Hour with Basil and Mark. www.alternativefutureradio.com.
Good morning, Basil.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Africa.
The Middle East.
Europe.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Iceland.
Speaking of Iceland, we've got a guest coming on from Iceland.
Ooh, you don't tell me anything.
I tell you some stuff. I put it on the website. You find out about it when the public.
Yeah,
know.
I'll find out when I visit the website.
Yeah,
when
when you're good and ready. Let me just see if I can find this. No, I'll let you have a go at his name, shall I?
Yeah, why not? Go on.
There's his name.
Make a fool of me.
Yeah.
Live on air. I can't read it.
Erlander Haraldsson.
Haraldsson, yeah.
Erlander Haraldsson?
Yeah.
He does stuff about afterlife and paranormal and what have you.
I do like that.
You do like a bit of afterlife.
But we're not talking to him today.
No, we're not.
Oh, well, you got all carried away, didn't you? We were talking to somebody completely different. We're talking to a very big guest.
Yes.
I could say television star.
Yeah, he's been on all sorts of stuff. He's, what would you describe him as?
I would say Dr. Turi, Dr. Louis Turi,
yes,
is a French astrologer, clinical hypnotherapist, and astropsychologist. That's unusual.
That's an unusual term.
Turi was born and